What's up guys, Chasing Rainbow here with episode number 94 of Welcome to Wroxham, and it is a championship transfer special because we're now a championship club. Who'd have thunk it? Anyway, like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave the predictions down below actually, because you're going to see the new team, you're going to see some of the new players coming in. Let me know where you think we'll finish in the championship, and I'll see you on the other side of the intro. So, still no movement on the new stadium. We're still waiting for them to find a site for a 5,000-seater stadium. That feels misguided, because I feel like we can probably sell out 5,000 seats fairly reasonably easy in the championship. But what do I know? But you're here for transfers, so let's meet the players leaving first. I say meet the players leaving, because a lot of them you won't actually have seen play for us. One of them is Dan Hogan, who has joined Huddersfield. I was a bit surprised Huddersfield came in with a bid for him, being a fellow championship club. They've paid £86,000 for a player who I was more than prepared. You can see he's got a D on his scout, but I was more than prepared to let this kid go. He's had a season at Hornchurch where he wasn't exactly outstanding, but been with us a long time and never really set the world on fire. So happy to let him go. He's not that great a player, to be honest. And easy money for us. Likewise, Lewis Atwell has joined Blackpool. They've paid us £180,000 for this guy. Again, a D on his scouting, which tells you he was never going to make it into the first team. He's been with us a while. We signed him on a free from Biggleswade because I was told he had some potential. And then I've loaned him out all over the place, really, in the United Counties League, the Isthmian League, the Southern Premier League South, which is the only time he's actually been impressive. Apparently impressed Blackpool. They've paid me 180k for a guy who, again, fairly average, and I don't think he's going to set the championship on fire, so I don't know why they've signed him. Maybe they've seen more in him than I have. Now, a player I had a little higher hopes for was Cameron Harris, who I do think has some potential. He's just developing very slowly. The low determination isn't helping with that. We signed him from Manchester United free. He spent last season on loan at Dartford and did okay in the Conference South. Premier League Brighton have felt the need to pay us £200,000 for him, and looking at these attributes, I don't think anyone's going to say we've made a bad decision selling him here, because I don't think he's going to become a Premier League, but I'd love to be proven wrong. I just don't think it's going to happen for him. Forest Green came in to take Amari Benjamin off us. We signed him for nothing. He never played for us. He didn't even find a loan. I couldn't find anyone to take him on loan. He was kind of a backup that never ended up being needed, and Forest Green have paid us 42k for him. I am more than happy to take that. I mean, he's got some good determination, he's got decent-ish potential, but he's 24, and I don't think he's going to make the top of that potential in time, sat in our reserves. So selling him was good for his career, good for our bank balance. We've let him go, and hopefully we'll see him again someday. Now, our first big sale of the window was Daphne Amarie, who's been our backup goalkeeper for a long time. The under-21 Romanian international has joined Voluntari in Romania. I did think he could become something, but I didn't think he was going to become a first-team goalkeeper for us, to be honest. And he's got a D and only signed as a last resort, so I think we've made the right decision. They've paid us £1.5 million in the second league of Romania. I don't know where they found the money in the second league of Romania, but they came in for him. I took it because he's had a good spell he's had a respectable spell at Kings Lynn in the National League, two respectable spells there, but he's not looked great, and I took the money, frankly. I took the money, I ran away, I said thank you very much. And if we see him again, I'll be very surprised. So, Daphne Amarie says goodbye. Now, the next man out the door is Ryan Morris, who joins Notts County. He's been with them on loan last season. So, a lot of loans out since we signed him for 600. Okay, big haircut actually I've taken on this guy, because he's gone for 10.25k. Had some good spells in non-league, but I think if we're being realistic, he wasn't going to make it. I just didn't feel like he was going to make it, and so I've let him go. I think we kind of outgrew him. I think he could have made it had we stagnated in a division, say League 2, League 1 for a little bit longer, giving him a chance to kind of catch up with us. But he didn't catch up with us, so we've let him go to Notts County. I'm hoping he'll do fine there. I don't know why they've been so keen to sign him, because he played 4 times on loan for them and not well. But their money, their decision. I don't need him, so we'll say goodbye to Ryan Morris. Now, you didn't see Gabriel Osho on stream or on the channel last year at all. I signed him on a free from Luton in the January window as backup, really, and then he was only on a contract at the end of that season. Rivers United came in for him as an end of contract free. I didn't put up any fight at all. He's 31 and he was on the fringes at best of our team. Just made sense to let him go and save ourselves some money. David Bell joined Ayr in the Scottish Championship on a free. I actually did think this guy might have got somewhere, but then I kept looking at that determination score of 4, and as much potential as he possibly has, it wasn't happening for him. We have signed him on a free from Chelsea and let him go on loan in the National League South a lot, the League 2 a little bit, where he was good but didn't inspire me. So, yep, he's gone, and who knows how he'll do for Ayr. I guess if he comes back into the English leagues, we'll find out, but for now, no great loss. Likewise, Taran Critchlow, he was never going to become anything. He's got an E on his scout report. That's how not going to become anything he really was. Had a career that we can describe as interesting with us, I guess. He came from Harrogate Railway, where I signed him on a free because, again, he looked like he had potential, according to our scouts at the time when we were in League 2. So I sent him on loan to Wantage, to Dunstable, to Alfreton, and then for some reason Sunderland came in on the end of his contract, took him on a free, thinking they saw something in him. It's a bold gamble, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Now, not a sale, but a loan. Pablo's gone on loan to Oxford this season. He went on loan to Malaga last season. The guy we signed from Atletico Madrid on a free. I still think he's got some potential, and I think he can make something of himself. He's gone to Oxford on loan this season after a good season in whatever the RFF Grupo, I think it's the 3rd tier of Spanish football. You know, we'll see. We'll see what he does down there. I'm not sold one way or the other. He's 22. He's reaching that limit of where I'm going to give him more chances. But if he has a good season for Oxford this year, maybe he comes back. But for now, we'll consider him not with us for the long term and say goodbye, but he could come back. Now, I've had a bit of a clear out of goalkeeper. It was going to be a bigger clear out than it ended up being, and one of the guys who went there was Giacchino De Vinta. I signed him years ago on a free, years ago, when he was basically a regen that I kind of spotted just by doing some scouting around. He played a lot of time, spent a lot of time before we actually signed him on trial. I think he was 15 when I signed him. Had a season on loan at Hitchin last year. I wasn't terribly impressed when he came back. Spent last year just sat in our reserves, thought maybe give him more time to play reserve team football. He was decent. But when it came down to it, Diegem Sport in the first nationals, I think it's the 3rd tier of Belgian football, they came in with a money offer, and I looked at him and went, yeah, let's let him go. So that's what he's going to do. He's gone. And sad for him, he's got an under-21 cap actually for Belgium, but I didn't think he was becoming much of a goalkeeper. So I've let him go. And again, don't think we'll see him again. Tom Miller was another youngster we brought in to try and develop and has been sold on. Again, 20 years old. He's not done much. We signed him on a free from Potter's Bar, where he had a decent season again. Got a lot of scouts in the league who said he would become something, so I took a chance and sent him on loan to Tunbridge, where he did okay, not spectacular, but did okay. Had another loan at Maidstone last year, again did okay, not spectacularly. Stoke decided to offer us £275,000 for him. A D on his scout report tells me not going to amount to much, but maybe they've looked at that 4.5-star potential and gone, we'll give him a go. I've just taken the money. I'm fine with just taking the money on this one because this guy, not that great, honestly. Didn't develop at all. And yeah, we're happy to say goodbye to him. We'll take that money and we'll carry on our lives. Another player I signed to make up numbers, thinking he might have some potential left to be eked out. He was far too old for it, as it turned out, was Godfred Boakye. I don't know if he actually played a game on played a recorded game for us. He initially came into us on a free, did some weird loan thing, one of these weird glitches in the game. I don't know what's happened there. Went on loan at Stevenage after playing 6 games for us in the 27-28 season, so 3 seasons ago. In League 2 was okay. We let him go for a while on loan to the National League, did okay there. Kept him out on loan with Stevenage for another year, and again had a decent season, another decent season for them in League 2. But I think that was the end of the road for him. Again, he should have come back from that League 2 spell. I felt like good enough to be on the fringes of our first team, and he was really nothing more than on the fringes. So Mansfield came in on a free at the end of his contract. I put up no fight at all because he's not going to do anything in the Championship. Obviously, I wasn't expecting to go up last season. We did somehow put in a run at the end of the season, got ourselves promoted as champions, but he's not going to become a great player. He's going to become a solid League 1 player, I think, but nothing beyond that. So I was happy to let him go. Now, another player you saw nothing of was Cardo Matombo, who, again, a lot of bigger clubs coming in for players who aren't going to do anything for us, we're never going to do anything for us. His physicals are god-awful for a 20-year-old midfielder. That was what put the nail in the coffin when the bid came in for him. We signed him on a free a couple of seasons ago. He sent a couple of loans out, did nothing of note. Charlton paid 50k for him. Goodbye, Bob's your uncle, job done, off you go. Enjoy your career. That was what we said to him, and I think he'll probably drop back down into non-league in fairly short order, to be honest. Now, another loan out that will return is Fabio. He's obviously played 99 league games for us. He has been a key member of our squad for a few years. He is developing very well. And will continue to develop. He's gone on loan to whoever OPER in Brazil's Serie C. I know nothing about this club. They've got Aperio Farovario. Know nothing about them. Nothing about them at all. They put in a bid to loan and paid us 175k for the privilege. And I just thought, sure, he's going to play first team football there. Why not? We've got nothing to lose by doing it. I've signed a lot of really good defenders for this season, so he wasn't going to play first team football this year. Despite having been a regular for us for the last 3 seasons, he wasn't going to play first team football for us. So I thought, let him play first team football somewhere, see if that helps him out to develop. And if not, he's got a price tag of 2.3 to 3.4 million. Maybe that goes up, maybe it stays the same. Maybe we make some money off him, but he's going to be playing first team football this year, and that's going to be key for him. We'll see what he looks like when he gets back, and we'll make a judgment call then. Now, Tony Springer played more games for us than I thought he would do. He's played 18 games for us last season. Most of them, it has to be said, off the bench. He's 27, essentially. I wasn't feeling it. At 27, when you get an offer for a 27-year-old for 400k, he's not developed, despite having all the determination in the world, being a model professional. You do just have to say goodbye, cut your losses, and 400k for a guy I signed for nothing from Norwich. Fine. Good business. Did well for us when he played, but I think it's good business. I think we've got better options in the squad now. I don't think he was going to get any games this season whatsoever because I have really focused on strengthening the midfield this summer. So, yeah, he's gone, and hopefully he'll do well, come back up. He is good enough to play for a lower championship team eventually. But it was time to say goodbye to him, so that's what we've done. Now, Will Lancashire was another striker we signed as a backup. We needed backups for Daniel Menga. They've both gone now. He didn't really do anything to excite me when we signed him. We played him once. Did really very little for us. Sent him on loan to Exeter in League 2. 11 goals and 17. Good stuff. Again, I've made some improvements after promotion this season. Could have been a potentially good signing, but he's 25 years old. Barrow offered me 50k for him, and I didn't see any reason to keep him around. So he's gone, and he might score a lot of goals in League 2 or League 1, or whatever it is for Barrow. League 1, he might score a lot of goals there, but I don't think he will. I mean, his junior career, I think, says it all. Released by Arsenal, went to Sheffield United, didn't make the grade there, didn't make the grade at Spurs. did okay at Barnet on his way up, scored some goals for Port Vale, which is why I signed him. And again, I think League One's his ceiling, and we're a Championship club now, so we'll let him go. Now, another youngster we picked up along the way was Maurice van Dalen. I thought this guy was going to be really good. I had a feeling he was going to be really good, and I think you can see why looking at his career. Played some games for NEC in the Eredivisie in Holland and did okay there. We signed him because he'd done well, played a lot of games, 134 games for NEC. So I brought him in. He had a couple of games. I thought we'd send him on loan to Stevenage. Did really well in the National League, so I thought, hey, have another season at Stevenage, and he did really well. Then I sent him on loan at Rochdale in League 2 and did really well. And then he came back not looking great, so 165k from Angers in Ligue 1. Great, good business, job done. He wasn't going to play for us this season. He's 24. It was time to let him go, and we have let him go. Now, Mick Collins is an interesting one because I think actually he could be a good Championship player, but I don't think he had a long-term future with us. He can play up front or in midfield, which made him a really good asset to have in the squad. When he came in, he was sort of slightly underdeveloped, and he signed on a free from Hendon, where he'd done really well for a couple of years after coming through at Boston. I sent him out on loan at Fylde, had a really good season for them. But with Bristol City coming with £550,000, it's got a few add-ons and stuff tacked on, as you can see. I didn't see a reason to keep him around. I mean, he's got potential. He's only 19. He could develop into a really good player, and possibly will. I might regret this one. But it was a gamble I thought was worth taking. He's worth $7 million to them, so maybe it is a gamble I will regret taking. But there's just something about this guy that I couldn't put my finger on. I didn't think he was going to make it. I took the money and I let him go. Now, Ross McCafferty was hard to say goodbye to because signed up from an offer came in from Ipswich, localish rivals. Played 28 games for us last season. He's a really good League One player and potentially a very good Championship player. I don't think anyone would say he's been anything but, and he would be a solid player in our squad. But they offered us £1 million for him, and I didn't know how much game time I was going to be able to give him this season. It was kind of we'll take the money while it's on the table, because I think he's not going to develop a lot more. I know he's got that extra potential there, but I was looking at him and I was thinking, how much better is this guy going to get? He's a defender and a midfielder, and yet his tackling's 12, his passing's 12, his first touch is very suspect. I didn't see it, so I let him go. It was a hard one. I didn't see him being a big asset to us this season, so I let him go for that £1 million. And maybe it'll come back to bite me later in the season. I'm sure we'll see when we play them, but I don't think it will. Now we get into the why are people spending stupid money on peripheral players part of the programming. Joel Ndala. Remember I brought in Joel Ndala and I was like, it's a good backup. He's not going to be a good backup for us anymore. Partly because I signed players that were better than him. Partly, he played 2 games at the World Cup this summer, which I think has probably influenced some of the decision making here. Partly because Celtic paid me £3 million for a player who joined us and played 9 games. And yeah, I'm not arguing with that. You want to pay me £3 million for a player who is peripheral at best? I'll take it. But oddly, that wasn't the only time Celtic did that this summer, because they also came in for Trent Cone-Doherty. Now, Trent has played a lot of games for us since joining us from Liverpool. We signed him on a free. They paid money for him. He signed us on a free. Had a really good first season in League 2. Had a middling second season in League 2. And I thought maybe still some potential in the tank. So I let him go to Salford last year. Another good season in League 2. And then out of nowhere, Celtic offered me £3.7 million for him. And I said thank you very much, because this is a guy who is mostly pace. Doesn't offer me a lot more. Certainly wouldn't say he was a Championship player. He also does go missing in big matches, and there's going to be a lot of big matches this season. Can't tackle, is not great in the air, is very prone to yellow cards, as we've discovered over the years. So I let him go, and I don't regret it. 3.7 million will go a long way in this division. You'll see how far it's been stretched in a moment. So I'll let him go, and we'll see if he comes back to English football or if he stays in Scotland, becomes a hero up there. He'll enjoy playing some Champions League football and winning some easy titles, and we'll see what happens. And the final big money sale was a real heart wrencher for me. Actually, was Antonio Pizzari. He was a player, as you guys know, I really do like Antonio Pizzari. He's a good player, but I think his ceiling was lower Championship, top of League One was kind of what I was seeing in him. 23 years old. I think if he was gonna get any better, he'd have been called up by Mexico by now. He's done a good job for us over the years. I'm not going to deny that. I mean, this is a guy who joined us way back at the start of the season in the Isthmian Division 1 North on trial, and then we brought him through very slowly, played a couple of games for us back then, had a lot of loans out in the National South, in the National League, at Châteauroux, played a lot of games for us last season in League 1. And then Club America offered us $2 million for him, and it's $2 million with some add-ons. There's, I think, 25% of his next sale or something equally stupid. It was a no-brainer. I took it because I think he's peaked. I'm very sure he's peaked, to be honest. And yeah, let him go. Hopefully he'll have a good career back home in Mexico. And if he doesn't, we'll always have the memories. But now it's time to look at who's come in to replace these guys. So let's switch over to the side and see how that looks. So as I often am, I started by looking at some young players because I want to see who I can develop into stars for the future. Cristiano Romano is an Argentine I found at Pacifico in Argentina. He's played 61 games for them. He's an under 18 international, I think it is, for Argentina. He's had a couple of standout seasons there, so he looked good. And he was free, so I thought we'd give him a chance, really see what he turns into. We're going to try and loan him out if we can, because I think he is probably at a kind of, like it says he's a decent National League player with potential to be a Championship player. So we're going to give him a go and see what happens. So he might be one to keep an eye for the future. I did need some depth of right wing, so he may get a couple of games this season just to try him out. But yeah, that was our first signing of this summer. Now our second signing of the summer was a centre-half, Luis Lourdes, who I think he's Ecuadorian, and I know he's Ecuadorian. Again, a player I thought might have some potential because he has played a lot of games for his club, Liga de Portoviejo, where he's staying on loan this season. Again, big ratings, big average ratings. Again, under 18 international for his country, which I think goes in his favour. He only cost me £4,000. I didn't see a risk here, so I took it. If we sell him, we'll make our money back. So I'm not going to stress over it. But he does look like he could become a decent centre-half, and we will see how that shakes out. As I said, it's been a summer of trying to sign youngsters who I think would develop into first-team players eventually. Zenon de Cruz was a risk, released by Chelsea. I had a look through Chelsea's release list, and he's been fairly okay for Chelsea's youth teams. He does have a lot of things he seems to do quite well. He's quite good at dribbling on the ball. He can play in a lot of positions. You can see on the right-hand side. He cost me nothing, so I sent him on loan to Gateshead for this year, where I think he'll get a chance to develop. I don't like that lack of determination, but I do like that tackling. And I don't know if he's going to go anywhere. But he's a youngster worth taking a chance on, so I'm introducing you to him now, just in case he does become something. He's potentially an EFL Championship player, apparently, so I guess we'll just see how that shakes out for him. And again, another youngster, Marlon Ratnage is an Irishman who is 18 years old, was released by West Ham. I took a look at him. I thought maybe there's something here. We've got that potential Championship player thing coming from our scout as well. He has the stamina, has the pace, has all that good stuff, has some good determination. He's gone to Eastleigh on loan for this season, and we're going to keep an eye on him, see if he develops, or sell him on for money. Something will work out there. But yeah, so Marlon Ratnage has joined us, and we'll see how he develops. Now, I know you're probably thinking at this stage, yes, you've got promoted though, so maybe put some effort in to improve the team for promotion. We're getting there. But the last of the youngsters, or the last of the first batch of new youngsters that came in was Mondley Jalmini, who is an international of South Africa, or an under-20 international South Africa, who played in their Cup of Nations this summer. This summer got a 7 rating. Already a good side, some good determination, released by Chelsea, who do, of course, produce a lot of very good youngsters. In terms of his Chelsea career, very good at the junior levels. It's got to be said, his last season was outstanding, played 51 games for them, 6.72 overall rating, does win his tackle, which is good for an attacking midfielder, does at least a dribble per 90 minutes, has good passing percentage, so a lot of positives there. I've sent him on loan to Fylde for the season to see how he shapes out, how he develops. He's only on a 1-year deal, so there's very little risk for us there. £325 a week. We'll see what he turns into. But let's go meet a player who will actually play some first-team football this season. Meet Harry Stone, a brand new goalkeeper, Scottish, under-20 or former under-21 international. I signed him from Peterborough, where he was their, I believe, first-choice goalkeeper last season. He was their first-choice goalkeeper last season. I think we came across him maybe in a cup game of some kind at some stage. I've paid £800,000 for him. He's had a good career where he came through the ranks at Hearts. Stirling loaned him, Spartans have loaned him, Albion Rovers have loaned him, Partick Thistle have loaned him. Joined Huddersfield for £675k, had a loan back in Scotland in the Championship with Hamilton, another one at Ayr. Has had another loan at Dundee in the Scottish Premiership before going back to Huddersfield, where he did become a regular fixture in their first team at Championship level. Has gone on to play 75 Championship games for Peterborough. I thought Randy Straker was going to leave all summer, so I was looking for a Championship goalkeeper, and I think I found one. Randy Straker, as you've already figured out, didn't leave this summer. Luckily, he came in as a backup. And I think as a backup goes, he's pretty good all round. I think he's going to fit in really nicely when we need him to, which is something we've lacked for a while as a solid backup goalkeeper. At 28, probably not much more development he's going to do, but he doesn't need to, because he was here to fill a hole, essentially. I wanted him to be replacing Straker for a year whilst I looked for a better option. We kept Straker, which means he can be Randy Straker's backup, and yeah, I'm quite happy with him. But just to be on the safe side, because I think goalkeeper is always a risk, I brought in Vincent Angelini because I didn't know if Stone or Angelini was going to be our first choice if Straker left. It could have gone either way. As things happened, Straker's still here. I paid £170,000 for him from Forest Green, where he was their first choice goalkeeper last season. You remember from one of the games we played on the channel, he looked really good against us. I was really impressed. I kept an eye on him after that game, thinking that he could be a good option for us for this season. He was signed again as a backup, having had a really good career with coming through a Celtic, joined Watford, where he, I think, didn't play. He didn't play for them, I've just checked. I had a good loan at Wellston, had a good loan at Greenock Morton, had a good loan at Wraith and at Arbroath. And I had that season at Forest Green, and I was sort of pretty convinced we played against him. He was a good signing. Because we didn't sell Randy Straker, it's unfair to keep a 26-year-old as a third-choice goalkeeper. I've let him go on loan to Aberdeen this season. I think he'll get a lot of games for Aberdeen this season as well. So I think actually probably a good move, and we'll see how he looks when he comes back from there. Hopefully he'll improve his stamina by playing some football. Again, just keep an eye on him. He could end up being sold on. He could end up becoming a nothing failure for us, but 170k is not a big outlay for someone who could potentially become a first-team goalkeeper for us. Now, another youngster, and I promise you this was not a risky signing for us. He's come through Swindon's youth team, which is obviously how I found him. I like to keep an eye on what Swindon are doing in terms of developing players. Had a loan out at Wantage, our second next Wantage loan. They've done some development down there. Wantage, ironically, is the town I grew up in, and they seem to have had a big takeover at some stage. because they've been bidding to loan a lot of players from me over the last couple of years, and they seem to be moving up. He's joined us this season. I have paid 2.2 million for him because I'm told he's a potential Premier League left winger, but he is currently a National League player, so he's got some developing to do. But I've sent him on loan to Oxford City in the National League this year. I think he'll do okay for him. He's got some big determination. He's looking like a good player physically already, becoming a good player mentally. If he becomes a good player technically, I think that's one of the bargains of the save. We've got a long time to develop him. He's got a 3-year deal. So, yeah, I think we'll see him come good. So keep an eye on Connor Campbell as a future Wroxham potentially legend. But we did get promoted, so I needed some defensive steel, and Mohamed Kamara was a name that came across my desk. Yes, he's 32, and yes, he is starting to decline, and I understand the fear you might have with that, but I think he's a decent all-round centre-half and a defensive midfielder, which means we'll fit in well. 3.5 stars in our first team, international experience, having played 90 times for his country being Guinea. He's good in the air. He's really good in the air, which is going to be vital at this level. He's quite quick, again, really important at that level. He is a championship quality player. He's definitely peaked. He's only going to be here for a year, I would think, before I try and put someone younger who has developed in there. But I think as a mentor as well, he's got a lot of good all-round stats. I think he's had a good career too, to be honest. He's been playing for young boys in Switzerland for the past 12 seasons, which means he's played 13 games last season in continental competition. The season before that had 6 the season before that, and he's always looked really good. Again, another 8 there. He's played a lot of European football, is what I'm trying to say, over his time playing in the Swiss Super League. So, yeah, I feel confident about this guy. I really do feel confident about him just being able to fill in for a year. He'll have no trouble fitting. They paid 1.9 million for him. I paid him nothing for him after a season when he played for Hapoel Rananana in Israel, and had a season at Haifa FC on loan in Guinea before that. And he's had a weird kind of bounce back between Guinea and everywhere else kind of career. So, yeah, spend some time bouncing between Guinea and Israel before finally settling in Switzerland. I think he'll do well for us. I think just one season, but he's a big lad, and I think that's what we need at the back, is a big lad with some experience, and I'm glad we picked him up. Now, another one for the future, I think a more immediate future, is Aydin Reseta, a Bosnian international centre-half who can play on either flank as a fullback. Big boy for a 20-year-old. Good enough in the air, pretty good around. Needs to work on some stuff, but he's 20. You know, you get what you pay for with 20-year-olds. They do need to develop, and he's had a good season, a good career so far, playing 170 games for Radnik Birjena in Bosnia and Herzegovina. He's had a great, ever present for him. I think he's a good player. I've paid nothing for him as well, which makes him a really, really good pickup. And he's got a year-long contract. If he doesn't become anything, if he doesn't look like he's going to become anything, I'll let him go. And if he does become something, we'll keep him around and see how far he can develop. He is a potential Premier League right back, apparently, so we'll see how that goes for him. Now, this is a big signing. A really big. I'm very excited by this one. Will Alves has joined us from Leicester City. And I've paid nothing for him, which is fine, because he has played some Premier League games, only 3, but he's played some Premier League games, spent the season before last on loan in the Championship, and did very, very well. He's 25, so he's on the high end of his experience for us, had a season on loan in the Championship at Luton as well, where he did okay. And you might think, yes, but he's been peripherally in the Leicester squad. He's not been anything impressive in the Leicester squad, but I do like that if you have a little sneak into his biography, he's won the Europa League and the Europa Conference League with Leicester. I mean, officially, he's not played in those tournaments at all, but he's won them, so that's nice. I think he's a good player. I do. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good Championship player. He may not become a Premier League player, and I think we've probably agreed with the scouts on that. But he doesn't need to become a good Premier League player. He needs to become a good Championship player for this season. Loves a trick, good flair, good vision, decent passing, good technique. I think for a squad player, certainly, I've told him he'll be a star player. I'm not sure if he'll be a star player, but for a squad player, I think he's a really good pickup. He probably should have played more than the 63 league games he has done at this point in his career. Might go on to stay with us for a long time. Might turn out to actually have that talent to stick around in the Premier League if we get there. But while we're in the Championship, great signing for us, and I think he will really, really impress. Now on the younger side again, but will in fact play for us, is Jose Manuel Rivera. He has joined us from Real Madrid. I mean, technically he's joined us from Castilla, but he's had 30 goals in 153 games. He's a striker and a winger, and equally good in both. He plays that pressing forward role that we really like. He's got some height to him, got some strength to him, some stamina to him, some tricks to him. Good finisher, good crosser of the ball, good all-round attacking player, has decent vision, 22 years old, plenty of room to improve. Apparently has the potential to be a good Championship player, but we'll see how that goes. I think maybe there's a hidden gem in here. He's good in the air as well, which is nice. It's really nice to have a winger that's good in the air when balls spill wide. We'll keep an eye on him. He's going to play this season. I feel like he's going to be good for us this season. He's never had a big goal scoring season, but, you know, I'm always game to see how a player will develop. And I think Jose Manuel Rivera will develop, and he's cost us nothing. Now, I might have had a bit of a problem going mad with goalkeepers. As I said, the entire summer I was getting bids for Andy Straker. He went up to 2.3 million. He just refused to leave. Fair play to him for the loyalty, but I kind of did actually want him to move on because he's not going to be a Premier League goalkeeper. Anyway, meet Michael Young, a Northern Irish under-21 international. He's just turned 22, so his under-21 days are over. He was at Northampton last season as their first choice goalkeeper. So when he came up on a free, I took him and then I loaned him out straight away to Arbroath because he was never going to be a first choice goalkeeper. He was a thought for the future. Came through at Burnley. Had a season on loan at Ayr where they didn't play him, so he was just there as a backup. But he has played a few games here and there for Burnley's reserve side and looked okay. So I thought we'll take a gamble, see how he looks. Again, no big loss here. If we have to sell him, we'll make some millions for him, and he's cost us nothing. So let's see how he does on loan at Arbroath, who, by the way, Arbroath are playing in the SPL this year. Madness. Absolute madness. Now, one thing I was worried about was our lack of depth at right back. As much as we do have Galeno, who is a good right back, I felt like backing him up was a smart idea. And William Gutierrez Ramirez, who somehow is English, I haven't even checked to see if he's got a second nationality. I've just assumed he does. Apparently he doesn't. Just his family fancy giving him a really Spanish name. He's a right back. He will be back up, but that's not a big problem in my eyes because he's a good backup, I think. He's a good Championship player, will be a good Championship player. He's a good League One player, which is all you really want as a backup at a newly promoted Championship side. Has actually played 47 games in the Championship for Reading, which is a pretty good return. Had a season on loan at Crewe, a season on loan at Files, who's got a lot of League Two football under his belt, probably toughened him up a little bit. After a couple of seasons on loan at Barnet and Eastleigh to really kind of get him. He seems to have been developed the right way, which is nice, and he cost me nothing. So I feel that that's a solid piece of decision making as a backup right back. So we'll see how he does. He's 24, so if he doesn't make it good by the end of his contract, he'll just be let go. But yeah, we'll see how he does. We'll see how things develop with him. Now, I did say my big focus over the summer was going to be building a new midfield with a lot of players on loan in our midfield. Ironically, most of them have stayed. But this fella came up, Alvaro, from Atletico Madrid, has played 3 games. Technically, I suppose played 4 games for Atletico Madrid, just over 2 spells bouncing back between their A and B teams. Defensive midfielder, really solid. 16th for passing and 17th for technique is disgraceful. 17th for vision, which means as a playmaker, ridiculous. I'm going to make good use of this kid. I promise you, I'm going to make good use of this kid. He's going to get us some assists this year. Cost me nothing. Again, played in La Liga 2. A lot of games in La Liga 2 in that third tier of Spanish football we talked about before. But as I said as well, has made his way into the first team, onto the bench for the first team for Atletico Madrid since he's been there, which tells me he's a quality player in potential. 23 years old. I mean, he cost us nothing, and he's worth 8 million quid, and I think probably has a Premier League future. I think he's a good player now for most Championship sides. Could improve significantly as his scout report. He's fairly professional. I think he's got a Premier League future. Now, Kev Keylor-Dunn, interesting player for as a signing. 19 under 21 caps for Ireland. Can play all the way up the middle and on the left wing a little bit. And I'm going to probably try and turn him into a right back because his left foot is shocking. Good all-rounder for this level. I don't know how I feel about him in terms of he's apparently a decent Championship player. Could be a good Championship player. Probably won't be a Premier League player. He's got a 2-year contract. But if you go through his career history, came through at Middlesbrough and played a few games in the Premier League off the bench for them, did the usual rounds, had a season on loan at Woking, did well in League 2, came back, played twice in the Championship for Middlesbrough, didn't do a lot, had a solid season on loan at Peterborough, fine, solid season on loan at Hull, both those seasons in League 1, solid, came back to Borough last year, they didn't do anything with him, he came up on a free, I thought, why not, let's give him a go. He's costing us £6,000 a week, which is a lot of money actually for this club. But I do think there's something here. I don't know what. I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like he's just a good bench option who maybe gets better. And we'll see how that goes. But happy to have him here. We'll see if he does anything for us. And hopefully things come good there. So it's rare I get really excited by a signing. And Thiago is one of those players who has got me quite excited. He's 23 years old, which is fine. He has played 185 league games already. Brazilian, of course. Ridiculously quick, can play on both wings and up top. Dribbling is fantastic. Flair is fantastic. Decent finishing. Not much of a crosser. I'm going to be using him probably as an inside forward mostly, but he can pass the ball, good technique, decent off the ball, good determination, decision making is fine, composure is fantastic, stamina and agility are great. And then if you look at his career history, it's not like I've just imported him from Brazil. He joined Brentford in 25-26 in the Premier League for 4.6 million from Grêmio Porto Alegre. When he'd been playing in Serie A and Serie B in Brazil, had a season on loan back with Corinthians. I believe that's Corinthians, I could be wrong. Where he did well, and then with Red Bull Brazil, where again he's done well in Serie A. Oxford have loaned him from Brentford, and he's done okay in League 1. 1 goal from 11 appearances on the wing, not bad. 4 goals and 11 appearances on the wing for Bolton the following season. Went back to Brentford and had a season on loan at Burton, where he got 7 goals in 38 appearances in the Championship. Again, as a winger with a decent average rating. He came up on a free because they released him, and I absolutely ripped their arm off because I know a bargain when I see one. This lad's a bargain. I think he's probably about to qualify for British citizenship as well. Far off, which is fine because that will help out with things down the line. Yeah, really good signing. Really good signing for us. So, we'll see how he does, and we'll move on to the next new signing, who turned out being fair play, joins us from Ipswich, despite having played in a lot of places, joined us from Ipswich. And this is another player actually we played against last season I was really, really impressed by. And that was before I found out he can play damn near everywhere on the field, bar centre half, centre midfield, and in goal. He doesn't look like anything special. His versatility, I think, gives him a boost. But he played, you remember, for us in the final game of last season for Plymouth, and he looked really good. I don't tend to do a player off one appearance, but he looked really good. And I looked through his career history. Played for Malmo for a year. As a Swede, not that special, I guess, but did really well. 5 goals in 28 appearances, presumably playing all over the park. 4 games in the Championship for Ipswich the season before last, solid. They paid 1.4 million to buy him from Stoke, and 26 decent, solid games in the Championship. Not spectacular, but all off the bench. They've got the same thought I have, very versatile, keep him on the bench, clearly. Stoke had the same thought before that, and they've kept him around. Played 41 games in League One for Salford many seasons before that. He's had a good career, a solid career. He's a Chelsea lad in real life. They paid 44.5k for him from Gothenburg. And yeah, I liked his versatility. I like the fact my scouts liked him. They agree that he could be a Championship player, but he's probably a decent League One player, which is kind of how I looked at him. But I do like the fact that he does have both pace and versatility, and we'll see how it goes for him. But I think probably a good signing. Going to be an unsung hero this year, is my thinking with Edwin Anderson. Now, I'm not usually the first to admit I've made a mistake, but Charlie MacArthur I thought was a good player when I signed him. And if you look at his career, I think you'll see why I thought that. I mean, career starts at Kilmarnock. Newcastle paid 250k for him. Leeds paid 450k for him. Send him on loan to Dundee for a year. Solid, fine, good stuff. Under 21 caps, looks fine. Doesn't play another game for a few more years. And I was like, okay, what's the deal with this kid? Because something's gone wrong. I'm assuming injuries is my theory. And then injury proneness pops up as a thing, so I know that's what happens. Played 44 games for Wimbledon without an injury somehow last year in League One, and did really well for them. So I thought, he's on a free, I'll take him. And I signed him, and I sent him on loan to Aberdeen, because aside from his determination and his marking and his pace, this lad's utter dog shit. So, good luck, bud. 2-year deal. I'll be trying to sell him at the end of this year. I promise you, he's never going to play a game for us. I'm sure to show you I do occasionally make mistakes with transfers, just like the rest of us. Luckily, I made up for that by re-signing a familiar face. Remember Ryan Edwards? Ryan Edwards played for us a long time ago, and he came up on a free. And I like Ryan Edwards. He was really good for us in that first spell at the club. 6.7 rating in League 2. Had the following season in League 1. Did okay. Had a season with Spurs, back with Spurs in the Premier League, and did nothing for their first team. Played a cup game. Did really well in their reserves. They released him, and I thought, I really like Ryan Edwards. And he's still only 21. So I thought we'd have a look. Potentially a Championship player. Good League One player. That's fine. Didn't really develop much since we last had him here. But he's a good player. We know he's a good player because he's been a good player for us. So I'm going to try and loan him out and see if a year on loan does anything for him. Because I think it's his technicals. And it could just be that he's not had good coaching because he's been at Grimsby and with us. Obviously bringing him back to us doesn't help. We have improved our training facilities and our coaches a lot since then. So we'll see how he does. He might amount to nothing, but I like him, so I wanted him back. That's the story of how that happened. Now, I am holding back a big name for last. So this isn't our biggest signing of the summer. Stian Christiansen is a Norwegian under-21 international, 21 years old, who has just been released by Juventus. Kick it in your head. 21 years old, just released by Juventus, can play defensive midfield, central midfield, attacking midfield, up front, or even in defence if we get desperate. We'll have a look at his career stats first, and we'll see how he ended up here because his estimated value of £20 to £26 million rates as a good Championship player, potentially a Premier League player. So he comes through at Christensen. Looks good in the Elite Syrian. They get relegated, but he looks even better. So Juventus naturally paid £28 million for him, playing 4 times in Serie A in his first season. Okay, cool. Then they send him to the next gen team. He has a fantastic season with an average rating of 8.08 in Serie C. 3 goals, 5 games. Great. They loan him out to Sassuolo in Serie A, where he then plays 8 games and a 6.57. So they loan him out again to Monza, where he plays 38 games in Serie A for a 6.7 rating with 4 goals. I'm assuming most of those had to have been in midfield. They take him back. They send him on loan again to Bodo Glimt in Norway. 10 games, 7.1 average rating. Fine. Goes back to their next gen team. 8.27 average rating. Cool. 2 goals, 4 appearances. Then they release him. So I sign him on a free because this guy's an absolute animal of a player. What a beast. 21 years old, right? We use a Mazzala. That's his best position. All right, so we're already looking cheeky. 16 for technique, 14 for passing. Love that. Long shots. Will score some goals with a 12. Dribbling, first touch, great. Fine. Decision making a 12. Lovely. Anticipation, 13. Lots of interceptions. Good stuff. Composure. Gets in the box, scores goals. Love that. Great off the ball. Great flair. Fantastic determination. 12 for vision. Decent. We can work with that. Work rate, 14. Means he's not being a lazy sod. Okay, pace is much to write home about, neither is his acceleration, neither is his balance. His stamina is good for this level. But this guy, he's 21 years old. He's nowhere near finished developing. Stian Christensen's a star. And we're going to see some good stuff from him. He's here on a 3-year deal. We're going to get some good scenes out of him. And I like that. I think we're going to see some good stuff. Let's enjoy him, shall we? But it's okay, never fear. I don't like to just sign 1 or 2 great players. So, Abdoulaye Thiam, Senegalese international, 6 caps. Played in the World Cup this summer. Fantastic. Can play anything you want him to do up top. Has great stamina, great composure, great finishing. The finishing and composure alone tell you this guy's going to get 30 goals in a season. That alone, if you're looking at me for tips, that's 30 goals a season. You ever see that on any scout report at any level? 30 goals a season. 20 years old. And I guarantee 30 goals a season from this fella. Plus he works hard. Plus he's good off the ball. Plus decision making is fine. Passing is doing players into play. Can play on the wing. Versatile. Decent speed. What a player. Almost disgraceful, quite frankly. Leading Championship player already. Potentially a Premier League standard striker. And I think we can safely say potentially a Premier League star striker. Has played his entire career in Senegal for Génération Foot. And has 53 goals in 112 games. I have no idea how I was the only person that spotted him. Literally, not one other club came in for him. Not one other club came in for him. This guy is going to be a disgrace. He's going to score so many goals for us. It's going to be sickening. And I'm very happy we found him. Look forward to watching Abdoulaye Thiam because he is a big star. Anyway, a bit of a palate cleanser before I introduce you to our big star because we need to dial things back a bit. We've got a bit excited. We've signed some big players. Sam Andrews is a player I brought in as a sort of backup player, really, long term. He's got on loan to Ross County immediately because he's 23 and I don't think he's going to be a star player for us. Might be long term. He's apparently a decent Premier League player in potential, but he is a League One standard player in real life right now. We're going to see how he goes. He cost me nothing after a good loan last year. This what caught my eye was that I saw him when I was looking through the league average rating charts, and a 701 put him quite high at the top of that, or quite close to the top of that, as you can imagine. So yeah, we took that risk, and Everton Academy graduate, fine. We'll risk it for a go with a 701 in League 2. He'll either become great or he won't. He's currently playing in the Scottish Premiership. We'll see what becomes of him. Another player I signed, again, bit of a goalkeeper scramble, but this kid looks like the real deal for a young goalkeeper. He's 22 years old. You see, he's valued at 19 million top end. Now, what attracted me to Craig Thompson was not necessarily that he's got the best stats. His goalkeeping stats are fantastic for a 22-year-old. They're really good. And the mentals we can work on, the physicals we can work on. But I looked at his previous career, and 48 goals, just 48 goals conceded for Notts County last season on loan is a great return. A 6.55 tells me he was playing at a top team with a good defence in front of him. And when he was called upon, he did the job because he's not conceded much more than a goal a game. Arsenal Academy product, fine. Released him, good stuff. Sent him on loan to Sutton United. He didn't want to leave London. That's what he told me. It's not that. It was just that he was going to be our 5th choice. But that potential tells me there's a player in there. And that's why that price tag even tells me there is a player in there. And there is a player in there. Believe me, there is a player in there. And I'm happy with him. He's going to be our Premier League goalkeeper, I think. Says good EFL Championship player in potential. I think this lad's going to be our Premier League goalkeeper. If he's not, I'll make 20 million on him. It's a win either way. Now I'm aware this has been the longest transfer special I've ever done. I've done some big business this summer. Big business. And Tyreek Levy is a big part of that. He's not the biggest name player we've signed. He might be the best player we've signed, but he's not the biggest name player we've signed. And actually, I'm trying to turn him into a left back because I think that's a position he'll do really well in. If I click on his makeshifty thing, it won't tell us anything about him as a left back, but he's got that versatility of having played everywhere. Great work rate, great teamwork, good determination, aggression. Okay, it's worrying. So is the but the bravery, is not worrying. Concentration, fine. Good tackling, good passing, good marking, good yada yada yada, good physicals all around. Good player, really good player. 24 under 21 caps for England. Good stuff. 23 years old. Better stuff. Let's look at his career history, shall we? Comes through at City. Love that. 2 seasons on loan at Hull in the Championship. 6.8 through the first season. 6.68, but 4 goals from 39 appearances in his second season. Goes back to City, does nothing. He's never played a game for City. QPR loaned him in the Championship for the season before last. 46 appearances, 7 assists, 6.9 average rating. Banging stuff. Middlesbrough almost broke from the Championship last season, taken on loan. 6.97 rating for 21 games. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. When he got released, that was a no-brainer. I took him, grabbed him with both hands. He is a star. He's going to be a good Premier League player. He's already a good Championship player. What a signing. But that's not where it ends, because Warren Zaire-Emery has come in. And Warren Zaire-Emery has had, again, an interesting life. We'll get into his attributes in a second. Let's go to his career. So this guy comes through the youth academy at Paris Saint-Germain, knocks around a bit in their second team, played actually 12 games for them off the bench in the first season of the game, which tells you a lot. Played 9 continental games off the bench. He was on the fringe of a side that had Neymar in it. Great. Good. Like that. Doesn't play a game for a few years. Obviously, Paris Saint-Germain will have spent thousands of pounds on players, millions of pounds on players. Has a seasonal loan at Saint-Etienne, which interested me a few seasons ago. 6 games there. Good stuff. Comes back to PSG, actually starts a game for them. Good stuff again. And then another start for PSG. All the while he's playing against their second team. Plays 10 games for PSG in 27-28 and has a 6.75 average rating in Ligue 1. Good stuff. Beautiful. Another season at PSG. Blackburn go, sure, let's see what it looks like in the Championship. 42 games, 6.8 average rating. Alright, we're looking at a good player. We're only 24 now. We're looking at a good player. Goes back to PSG. Another 6.75 in Ligue 1. They release him. I take him. No brainer. £40 million worth of player allegedly. 23 games, and 4 goals for France 21s. And this lad's a player. He's a player as a defensive midfielder, which is what we use in that role. Tackling, passing, marking, first touch, all spot on. Everything in his mentals is spot on. This guy is everything but a captain, and his physicals. I don't need him to jump high. He's not playing as a centre half. Everything else he does, absolutely first class, including vision. He's going to create a lot of goals for us. He can play on the right wing. This guy's going to create a lot of goals. He's going to just be involved in everything we do this season. What a signing. And again, not my best signing of the summer. We're nowhere near our best signing of the summer. Palate cleanser time. Ignace Jankowski's 22 years old, released by Tottenham, defensive midfielder, potentially a good player, has played 33 games for Lithuania, I believe that is. As a good championship player already, apparently, or will be a good championship player, a good National League player right now, which is why I've sent him on loan to Barrow in League One, because apparently he'll be a first-team player for them. And I'm fine with that, because he cost me nothing, had a season on loan in the championship last year, and seemed to hang pretty well. After a lot of seasons coming through Spurs' youth team, I don't know how good he'll become. I hope he becomes a really good player. If he doesn't, I'll make the £6 million we'll sell him on for. But if he does become a good player, he's a bargain on a free, we'll enjoy it. Anyway, I revamped our attack this season fully and meet Seydou Ndao, another Senegalese international. I have mugged Senegal. Comes from Diambars FC, 120 games, 50 goals for a guy who plays on either wing and up top. Very quick. His dribbling is insane. His passing is great. His finishing is decent. His composure is solid, reliable. Good work rate, vision okay, teamwork needs work. We'll work on that if we have to. Stamina for days, and 20 goals last season. I mean, what a lad. You can see where the conversion from we'll use him as a winger because he's quick to let's see what he does up top came in, and it does come in. What a player. Great up top, great on either wing, great everywhere. I like this boy. He's 20 years old, and I think it says he's worth 850k. I paid 425k for him. I think I'm going to sell him for 8 or 9 million when I'm done with him. What a player. Already a leading championship player, potentially a Premier League standard left winger, apparently. I think potentially they're probably right. We're going to enjoy Seydou Ndao. And without any further ado, let's meet our big star, Calvin Phillips, at 34 years old, the former Leeds, Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Ajax player. This guy's well travelled, 60 caps for England at this stage in his career, and probably has won his last cap. He's only here for a year. I don't need him to be here for much more than a year. I think he'll retire at the end of the season. If he doesn't, great, but he's a leading championship player with some good work rate, solid consistency. He's learned big matches. He's learned a lot through the course of his career. His mentors are fantastic. He's going to be a great mentor. Can play centre half now, which is good because his tackling is fine. He's decent enough in the air. He's naturally quite fit. Still has some pace left in him, some stamina left in him. Just a good all-rounder. We'll have a look at his recent career, shall we? So he spent last season in the Eredivisie on loan at Ajax, and he played 12 games and got just shy of a 7 rating after spending the first half of the season muddling around coming off the bench for Leeds after he rejoined the season before, played 18 games off the bench for them, £11 million they paid to put him on the bench. Disgracefully, hadn't played for Newcastle the season before that season. He hadn't barely played for Newcastle the season before that, just 5 games, but a 7 rating. After they spent 43 million on him to give him 25 games in the Premier League, to buy him from Paris Saint-Germain, where obviously he already knows our boy. Good performances for Paris Saint-Germain, nothing to worry about there. They paid 29.5 million to buy him from Manchester City, where he'd been a regular-ish after they signed him from Leeds, where of course we know he did bits in real life. Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's going to be good for us. He's going to be a good, solid head to lead the boys. And that, I'm afraid, concludes our transfer business for the summer. And before we go any further, I suppose we should look at the the Championship predictions. And of course, talk about our opening game, which is going to be a good place for us to start. It's going to take a moment to get there, because apparently that is just what we do now. Give it a moment, we'll get the Championship, everything we need to know. Opening game, we're playing Sunderland, which is good. Remember, we did have a lovely time in Sunderland before on FM 20, was it? I think it was FM 20. We had a good time at Sunderland. The season preview is what we've come here for, and we're being predicted to finish 7th after the signings we've made. Thiam, our boy Abdoulaye Thiam, is rated as being one of the 2 best strikers in the division. Disgraceful stuff, and we've done a lot of business today, but disgraceful stuff. I'm happy. I'm really happy. Stadium-wise, we have by far the smallest ground, so revenue is going to be an issue this season. Not expecting to make a lot of money, and even in terms of sponsorship income, we're barely involved in anything financially. But I do think overall we're okay, and we'll see how it goes. But we'll go back to the predictions. It's a nice place to end the season on. Actually, let's look at the schedule, because just so we're clear, we'll get into it. No one cares. I'm not going to play the first round of the FA Cup, the League Cup this season. It's not worthwhile. So we will see how that shapes out as it goes with our fixtures. But essentially, the big ones are: we start the season against Sunderland. On Boxing Day, we play West Brom, but of course we've got a Norwich game in there, which we'll play. We'll have an Ipswich game that we'll play in there probably as well. And we end the season away at West Brom. So it'll be interesting. I don't know where we're going to shake out. The team, we've got a young squad. If they develop the way we think they will, I do think we are going to have a really good squad, a really good chance of finishing top half this season. Maybe bang on the door of the playoffs. I don't think automatics is going to happen. But let me know in the comments below what you think, because I always like to hear what you've got to say about our chances ahead of a new season. I realise what I've been doing. This has been getting dark. You can't even see me anymore. Let me do a Let There Be Light, and it's going to be a jump cut. That's all I've been recording. I didn't even notice it was getting dark. There we go. We're back to life and light and good stuff here in the tower. So, thanks for watching, guys. First game of next season, the Sunderland game, will be on Monday, so do join me for that. We are one step away from taking Wroxham all the way to the heady heights of the Premier League from the Thurlow Nunn First Division, or whatever it was where we started. It's been an epic journey. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Leave those comments and predictions down below, and I will see you all very soon. Until next time, I have been Chasing Loon. Take care of yourselves, and have a good one.